Greetings and welcome to our 7:30 news bulletin here on Luntha television. My name is Bernard Manza. Our top stories. Pope Francis condemns the recent church bombing in DRC as he is set to visit the country in 2 weeks. Chakwera fires Director of Public Prosecution Stephen Kayuni as Martha Chizuma has been maintained. Malawi Red Cross Society falls short of 2.8 billion kwacha to contain cholera outbreak. And in sports news, Football Association of Malawi FAM closes club licensing process. Well, those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Pope Francis has expressed his closeness to the victims of a church bombing in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, that killed at least 14 people and injured more than 60. In prayer, the Holy Father entrusted the deceased and the wounded to the mercy of God, imploring Christ, the Lord of life, that the afflicted may find consolation and trust in God, invoking upon them the gift of peace. We have more in this report being read by Bridget Manoga.
The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the deadly bombing of a Sunday church service at a Pentecostal church in the eastern Congolese town of Kasindi on the border with Uganda. Congolese authorities said the day after the attack that the death toll had risen to at least 14 people. That is according to the Associated Press. Pope Francis sent the condolence message via a telegram 2 weeks before he is set to travel to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Pope is scheduled to visit the Congolese capital of Kinshasa from January 31st to February the 3rd, where he will meet with victims of violence from the country's eastern region. Pope Francis was originally scheduled to also visit Goma, the capital of North Kivu, in addition to Kinshasa in his July itinerary before the trip was postponed to February as the stop was removed from the 2023 schedule, likely due to security concerns in the eastern DRC. The violence in eastern Congo has created a severe humanitarian crisis with more than 5.5 million people displaced from their homes, the third highest number of internally displaced people in the world.
That was Tandiwe Nzumara. President Lazarus Chakwera has fired Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, Dr. Stephen Kayuni, replacing him with Malawi Legal Aid Director Masauko Chamkagala with immediate effect. Addressing the nation earlier today on the findings of the Commission of Inquiry into Chizuma's arrest, Chakwera said Kayuni's act of unsound judgment and having conflict of interest by giving orders to the police to arrest the Director General of Anti-Corruption Bureau, ACB, Martha Chizuma, is a great failure and a disappointment to him. But Chakwera has once again upheld his decision not to remove Chizuma from her office following the leaking of a phone conversation audio clip that Chizuma had with a third party. Hope Kambeta reports.
Chakwera said that his stand on the leaked audio has not changed since he maintained his trust in Chizuma. He added that the inquiry indicates that any member of his cabinet did not order the arrest of Chizuma or even knew it before it happened.
Where the Commission found Dr. Kayuni in the wrong was in his decision to file a personal complaint on matters pertaining to his office as Director of Public Prosecutions while still holding that office, which the Commission found to be a conflict of interest and an act of unsound judgment. As President, I consider this act of unsound judgment by Dr. Kayuni to be a breach of public trust, for it is a serious matter for Malawi's lead prosecutor to have a moment of unsound judgment or a conflict of interest.
He then urged Malawians that if they have any evidence that proves the involvement of any cabinet minister and anyone appointed by him on the arrest of Chizuma should bring it forward so that action can be taken based on the substance. On the recommendation of intelligence cooperation in the fight against corruption, he said he has directed the Secretary to the President to bring the heads of relevant institutions together on the next few weeks to agree on administrative framework on their interagency cooperation going forward. For Luntha Television News, this is Hope Kambeta.
Social commentator Latim Martinje has expressed concern over lack of money to be used to supply maize to all agricultural development and marketing corporation ADMAC depots in the country, as it is evident enough that Malawians will face hunger this year. Speaking today in an interview with Luntha Television, Martinje said that this will affect Malawians as ADMAC sell maize at a cheaper price compared to vendors. Priska Mashushu has more in this report.
According to Matenje, government should be buying maize at the right time so that they can supply on the right time, as Malawians will be negatively affected. He then said that the necessary thing to do is to wait for government's next move, as there is a lot of ways that can be used, rather than waiting for the money in order to supply the maize in all places needed. In addition, he has asked farmers to know the amount of food that can be consumed per year and also avoid selling maize to vendors, but rather sell to ADMAC for better prices.
This will affect Malawi greatly because all along we've been planning and doing things with full knowledge there is ADMAC that will supply food at a reasonable price, and that's not there. And obviously, some will end up spending too much on little food, thereby starving at the end. And obviously, that will affect their input and even output in this growing season. So it's not a palatable situation. It's a worse-off situation. There will be hunger, and that will be hunger this year and consequently the following year because of this situation. Unless government does what is required, that's releasing funds for ADMAC to do that.
Matenje also said that government should find ways to obtain loans and pay back in the next budget so that it can be used to supply maize in all places that are needed. He further clarified that if farmers can secure food in the country, it will help to eradicate hunger and ensure food security. Government will open some ADMAC markets on December 1st, 2022 to ensure people have access to maize and that their food secured. For Luntha TV, this is Priska Mashushu.
The Malawi National Spelling Bee has called on the public to continue promoting the reading and writing culture in the country by supporting the competition. The call has come out as the Ministry of Education, in partnership with Spelling Bee, are calling for registration of learners to participate in this year's Malawi National Spelling Bee competition, which will see a number of learners representing Malawi at the African Spelling Bee in Ethiopia. Malawi National Spelling Bee Chief Executive Officer and African Spelling Bee Chairman Lois Mbaula has encouraged all learners across Malawi to participate, noting that it helps African children to connect and build their confidence. We have a report by Tandiwe Mzumara.
The National Spelling Bee was introduced in Malawi after noting that the reading culture was going down and that there was no edutainment programs on television in the country. The competition, where learners compete in spelling out words, is instrumental in promoting children's participation in literary activities which aim at improving reading culture, building vocabulary, confidence, public speaking, and exposing learners to different aspects of life. In an interview, Malawi Spelling Bee Chief Executive Officer Lewis Mbaula has encouraged participation by all learners, noting that the competition is doing wonders in terms of promoting reading and writing culture.
We're going to have three categories. The first category is for children that are actually coming from typical rural areas where World Vision has got its area programs. That's where World Vision works. The second category is for the children in primary school, but coming from the rest of the areas, urban, rural, semi-rural, and all those parts. And the last category is for the students in secondary schools and high schools. So the top two of each of these three categories are the ones that are going to represent Malawi at the African Spelling Bee in Ethiopia.
In 2022, Malawi came second in a competition participated by 10 African countries. African Spelling Bee was first hosted in South Africa in 2016 and then 2017, before moving to Kenya in 2018 and then Uganda in 2019. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is the Tandiwe Nzumara.
You're watching our news bulletin coming to you from a Bishop Navy Media Center in Area 2, Lilongwe. Let's take another look at our main stories before we proceed. Pope Francis condemns the recent church bombing in DRC as he is set to visit the country in 2 weeks. Chakwera fires Director of Public Prosecution Stephen Kayuni as Martha Chizuma has been maintained. Malawi Red Cross Society falls short of 2.8 billion kwacha to contain cholera outbreak. And in sports news, Football Association of Malawi FAM closes club licensing process. Moving on, the Malawi Red Cross Society, a humanitarian organization, has said it is concerned with the 2.8 billion kwacha budget shortfall to rapidly respond to the cholera outbreak, whose cases are soaring in the country. According to the Director of Programs and Development at the organization, Bruce Kachisara, they are short of 2.8 billion kwacha cholera response plan budget, realizing that they only got 1.1 billion kwacha from the total budget. Chisara has since asked for collaboration from development partners to support the organization in containing the cholera outbreak. Our reporter Anathi Puri has compiled a report being read by Andrew Bound.
A humanitarian organization, Malawi Red Cross Society, says it is in need of financial resources to support its activities of containing cholera outbreak in the country. The concern has come following the delays of remaining 2.8 billion kwacha cholera response plan budget, and looking at high number of cases of cholera in the country. The organization says it will be hard to protect the lives of people in various areas across the country. According to the Director of Programs and Development at the organization, Priska Gisala, collaborative efforts in mobilizing finances to help the organization to rapidly respond to the outbreak is key if Malawi is to win the battle.
The total budget is going up to around 3.9 billion Malawi kwacha, but we've only mobilized about 1.1 billion. So we still have a deficit of 2.8 billion Malawi kwacha. So we believe that if we are able to get the required or the adequate resources, we can be able to do more in as well as supporting the Ministry of Health in responding to cholera is concerned.
Meanwhile, there are also concerns of inadequate shelter for patients and guardians, a situation forcing the two to share shelters. This is also putting a threat to the lives of guardians of possibly suffering from cholera. As of 17th January 2023, Malawi has recorded 26,263 cases since the first case was registered, with 852 deaths and 1,088 active cases.
That was Andrew Pound reading a report compiled by Alinafi Puri. In business news, one of the country's leading mobile network provider, Airtel Malawi, has expressed delight with progress at which Agent Asanje promotion is taking in the country. This comes as Airtel continue to spur a number of agents on weekly and monthly basis with 20,000 and 300,000 kwacha respectively. In an interview with Luntha television, Airtel Money marketing manager Virginia Jerry said so far so good, as the promotion is helping to uplift several agents financially. According to Jerry, the promotion has reached about 100 agents, which marks as the right progress. Jerry explains more to our reporter Bridget Manoka.
So when we just started this competition, the initial purpose of this competition was to reward our agents. Being 2022 was a great year, so we thought this would boost their capital, but we also thought this could be as a token of appreciation for the year, and also as a gift for the Christmas festive season.
In sports news, the Football Association of Malawi FAM has disclosed that 14 Super League clubs have expressed interest to participate in the 2023 club licensing process following the closure of the application period on January 15th. FAM Club Licensing and Compliance Manager Caspar Jangali said the remaining two are the champions of regional leagues from South and Central, where their leagues are still running. King Major Kamwendo has more in this sports report.
The 14 teams are TNM Super League champions: Nyasa Big Press, Airtel Top 8 winners Mighty Mukulu Wanderers, Red Lions, Mighty Tigers, Blue Eagles, Camus Barracks, Silver Strikers, Civil Service United, Desert Dynamos, Mafco, Chitipa United, Kalonga United, Ekwendeni Hammers, and Moyale Barracks. The remaining two clubs are the champions of the ongoing Central Region Football League and Southern Region Football League, who are yet to be identified. FAM Club Licensing and Compliance Manager Caspar Jangale said the association is now set to roll the 2023 club licensing process following the expression of interest by the participating clubs. He further said the next phase will be holding the club's licensing national workshop, where FAM will share the recently revived regulatory framework to the clubs so that to enlighten them on the changes that have been made from this season.
Yeah, we did send letters inviting clubs to apply for the 2023 club licensing on 31st of December 2022. And bearing in mind that we had two regional leagues, I think, ongoing, as we are closing on 15th, we only had 14 teams that had sent their application, meaning at the moment we've got 14 clubs that will be considered.
The Football Association of Malawi FAM recently added the 6th optimal criterion, which is business and commercial, to the club licensing process. The other criteria, which are mandatory, are sporting, infrastructure, administrative and personal, financial and legal. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is King Major Kamwendo.
In other news, the Gambia's President Adama Barrow has announced that the country's Vice President Badara Alieu Diouf has died in India after a short illness. Diouf, 65, was appointed Vice President of the West African country in 2022. He had previously served as Education Minister. Barrow said on Twitter that Diouf had died after a short illness without providing further details. The Vice President had left Gambia about 3 weeks ago to seek medical treatment. Well, on that note, we have come to the end of our 7:30 news bulletin. But before we go, another look at our main stories. Pope Francis condemns the recent church bombing in DRC as he is set to visit the country in 2 weeks. Chakwera fires Director of Public Prosecution Stephen Kayuni as Martha Chizuma has been maintained. Malawi Red Cross Society falls short of 2.8 billion kwacha to contain cholera outbreak. And in sports news, Football Association of Malawi FAM closes club licensing process. Don't forget to follow all cholera and COVID-19 preventive measures to be safe. This has been Bernard Mansa. Goodbye for now.